Hello, and welcome to this week's Schreiber Council meeting. Council will be deciding on when to end the state of emergency at the wastewater plant as repairs near completion. The latest reports indicate an improvement in the situation. The senior center renovations are being reworked in an effort to maximize the use of the space and reduce costs at the same time. And finally, there will be a discussion on the upcoming Heritage Days Festival, as some details are still being worked out. Tonight's agenda is up next. Thank you for watching.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Council and Committee of the Whole meeting, March 11th, 2025. First of all, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Robinson Superior Treaty Territory and that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and Métis. Can I have approval of the agenda for the open session, please? Everybody's good with it? Any disclosures of interest in the open session? Hearing none, we have no delegations tonight. Question period? Unless you have some, Rhonda?
No.
Okay. So we're right into it. Minutes of previous meeting. Resolution 69-25. Moved by Councillor McGrath, second by Councillor Bourgeau, that the minutes of the Council and Committee of the Whole meeting held February 25th, 2025 be accepted as circulated. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 70-25. Moved by Councillor Bryson, second by Councillor McGrath. Whereas current provincial municipal fiscal arrangements are undermining Ontario's economic prosperity and quality of life, whereas nearly a third of municipal spending in Ontario is for services in areas of provincial responsibility and expenditures, are outpacing provincial contributions by nearly $4 billion a year. Whereas municipal revenues such as property taxes do not grow with the economy or the inflation. Whereas unpresent population and housing growth will require significant investment in municipal infrastructure. Whereas municipalities are being asked to take on complex health and social challenges like homelessness, supporting asylum seekers and addressing the mental health and addiction crisis. Whereas inflation, rising interest rates, and provincial policy decisions are sharply constraining municipal fiscal capacity. Whereas property taxpayers, including people on fixed incomes and small businesses, can't afford to subsidize income redistributing programs for those most in need. Whereas the province can and should invest more in prosperity of communities. Whereas municipalities and provincial government have a strong history of collaboration, Therefore be it resolved that the province of Ontario commit to undertaking with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario a comprehensive social and economic prosperity review to promote this stability and sustainability of municipal finances across Ontario. And further, that a copy of the motion be sent to the Premier of Ontario, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and the Minister of Finance, and to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 71-25. Moved by Councillor Bryson, second by Councillor Bergeau. The council approved the attendance of D. McGrath and K. Mullins at the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association 2025 Conference and AGM to be held April 23rd, 2025 to April 25th, 2025 in Thunder Bay, and that expenses be paid as per township policy. All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 72-25. Moved by Councillor Bergeau, second by Councillor McGrath. The council authorized a sponsorship to the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association 2025 Conference and AGM in the amount of $96.48, excluding applicable taxes. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Accounts for payment. Resolution 73-25. Moved by Councillor McGrath, second by Councillor Bryson, that checks issued on the general bank account in the month of February 2025 in the amount of $673,925.89 for general accounts payable be approved and ratified. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 74-25. Moved by Councillor Bergeau, second by Councillor McGrath, that bank debits issued on the general bank account in the month of February 2025 in the amount of $62,236.51 for payroll be approved and ratified. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. This is 75.
There's a test.
Resolution 75-25. Moved by Councillor Bryson, second by Councillor McGrath, that council authorize the payment of invoice number 40799 and invoice number 40865 from Strawberries Floral Boutique in the total amount of $224.85, including applicable taxes. All those in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
No unfinished business, so move on to other business. Resolution 76-25. Moved by Councillor Bergeau, seconded by Councillor Bryson. That bylaw 11-2025 being a bylaw to adopt a policy with respect to employee evaluations be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 77-25. Moved by Councillor McGrath, second by Councillor Bergeau, that bylaw 12-2025 being a bylaw to adopt a policy with respect to employee discipline be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried.
Just a question regarding the two new policies. Rhonda, we're gonna update the policy manual and you're going to get staff to sign up on these?
Yes, I will.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, move on to committee of the whole portion of the meeting. And department reports and committee/board minutes. First up is CAO clerk monthly report.
Okay, so in regards to the state of emergency, we're still under the state of emergency. Repairs are almost complete that were required. We're just waiting for some nicer weather to finish those projects up. The finance team, we had a discussion with Marlene, and she has recognized the following to be priorities: the 2023 year end, the 2025 budget, and the 2024 year end. Nadine is still working hard with Greenland on training so that she's prepared while Nadine is on vacation. Public Works. So Public Works has gained a new team member, so we would like to welcome Clinton Riley to our team. I think he's going to be a great asset and to the team, and quite helpful since he's got so much experience with heavy equipment. Winter Carnival has come and gone. I've heard a lot of positive feedback in regards to the carnival and that people enjoyed the events. For my first time, it was pretty cute, and I enjoyed the stuff that I had attended, so that was good. Our economic development officer finished his first year of economic development professional training. I believe it was through Seneca College, but held in Thunder Bay. He had the opportunity to network with different economic development officers from all over Canada, which was really cool. There was a woman from BC, there was some from Southern Ontario, there were others that were from way northern Canada. So that was a really good thing for him. He seemed to enjoy it. So our administration, poor Cecile, the annual cemetery reporting is keeping her busy, getting that done along with all the other chores that we expect her to tackle. She's good at her job and proficient, that's for sure. Our bylaw officer has been researching various similar municipalities' bylaws to better improve our own, and is working with me to update the necessary bylaws. Our senior center held their second annual Senior Active Living Fair, which I attended. It was a really good day. A lot of good information was passed out, and I think everybody enjoyed it. So again, I just want to thank the team for making the start of 2025 a success, and I look forward to the accomplishments that we're going to achieve in the remainder of the year. Any questions?
No, I think that's a
That's good.
That's good.
Good report, thank you.
pretty much bang on.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go on to your second report, and that's Noma Voting Authority.
So we had made a mistake at the last council meeting. We were under the impression, probably because the email came from Nikita, that we needed to authorize Councilor McGrath with voting authority for the Thunder Bay District Municipal League conference that just happened. But Nikita informed Cecile no that it was actually for Noma. So, but Mayor Mullins will be attending as well. So we propose that maybe council approve both Mayor Mullins and Councilor McGrath to have voting rights on behalf of the municipality. I don't remember that being necessary last year, but
No,
I don't know if it could be something new.
I believe it's maybe because of the election this year. I just can't remember.
Well, because Wendy Landry's retiring or okay, possibly.
That makes a lot of sense.
I just can't remember.
yeah,
I never can.
that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
council,
you need a resolution for that, Ron?
yeah, we can bring that,
We can bring it forward for next meeting.
yeah, if council's okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Number 3, the fire protection and prevention fees bylaw.
Okay. So we have a consolidated fees and charges bylaw. Schedule F pertaining to the fire protection and prevention fees. The bylaw is 53-2023. So in this bylaw, the fire permits are currently $30 for the whole year. So it has been suggested by several people that with the winter months, the permits aren't being used as much. Seasonal residents aren't here. They'd like to see the fee drop to $20 a year. I did speak to Jan to see if that would be a conflict for the fire department or himself. And he was on board with it if council would be willing to drop the fee.
Not a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. I have no issue, but I have a question.
Okay.
When you come to the township to get a fire burning permit, are you paying an invoice?
No.
So there is no administration fee going to be tied up with these fire burning permits?
No.
Okay. And then, when I took a look at the budget variance report for 2024,
Mhm.
I think you're gonna wanna make a note to adjust the 2025 budget, because the budget for 2024 was that we were going to bring in $2,000. We actually brought in 3,930. So they adjusted the 2025 budget to say, okay, now we're gonna bring in 3,500. They increased it by quite a large amount. If you're dropping the permit fees, and I have no issue with it, I'm just saying you wanna adjust that line moving forward.
Okay.
But as far as dropping the fee back to 20, I have no issue.
Okay. So if council is okay with that, at the next meeting, I will bring a bylaw to amend. Schedule F.
Good.
Okay.
Perfect. Treasurer's report. Yeah, on excluded expenses.
Okay. So Marlene is not here to speak to this. So,
This is a standard,
We do this every
you
year.
do this every year because when you take a look at your financial statements, they have those 3 disclaimers
yeah,
that are, in fact, our financial statements do not include amortization expenses on tangible capital assets. However, because of the new accounting rules, our CAO has been able to secure an asset retirement obligation report that actually takes the place of that first requirement, and we couldn't get them done unless that was done. That's been received, so she already has all that information. Even though we're going to exclude it, we actually have it.
yes.
Post-employment benefits, Marlene talks about the one fund that we have.
Yeah.
And then she's giving you a calculation moving forward. And then the solid waste landfill closure and post-closure expenses. Councillor McGraw and I sit on the landfill committee, and when we secure the new agreement, we will actually be able to report a value into there. But for currently, this is a standard thing, and that's different than we have ever done in the last 10 years. And it's completely acceptable through accounting standards.
So is there an action recommendation? We can receive the report.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think she'll bring next one, she brings it forward anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as the resolution gets.
Yeah.
approved,
Yeah, and then it shows up on your audited financial statements.
Okay. Number 5 is the council expenses and remuneration rotated 2024 treasurer report.
So this is much the same. She has to report,
Yep.
what council remuneration was.
Breakdown of each councillor.
Yeah. There was, one error though, with Councillor Bourgeois that, I will speak to Marlene about it to fix, concerning the DSAP portion.
She needs to report on the DSAB, but it's not an amount the township pays. I get paid directly from DSAB.
Yeah, she said something about that.
She says that. Here's the thing, right? It is an amount by, in fact, she should report, but when you're setting budgets to this, you need to subtract that amount out. Because it's not an amount the township actually pays. And just so that you are aware, the township was under budget by about $4,000 for the 2024 for our expenses. When that was to the budget variance report. More so if you pull the DSAP amount out. So that will help with budgeting for 2025 moving forward.
Yeah. Okay, we're good with that. And then we'll move on to Director of Operations status report.
Okay, so at the wastewater treatment plant, we are still under a state of emergency, wrapping up a few items down there, but we have discovered another issue down there that will require some repairs come spring. So that might influence whether or not we come out of the state of emergency. But the water charts that I normally give you, based on the stats that I get from Aqua, it's a great indication on being able to monitor the township for leaks. And when your flow goes up and your minimum flow never goes down to the normal range, you know that you have to start looking somewhere. And sure enough, we did find that at the wastewater treatment plant, there is an 1.5 inch copper water line that seems to have a leak. It's not accessible at the moment. It's in the pipe gallery. We were able to open up the pipe gallery to see where the water starts. However, the water line runs underneath the air lines, which are big pipes. So it's not going to be easy access to get to them. So once spring comes, once most of the snow is gone, we can lift up a good section of concrete covers. Then it's only about 3 feet deep, so it eliminates our confined entry. You're not crawling underneath. And once we do that, I would strongly suggest that we replace the entire line from the blower room into the bagger building. It looks like it's the original, and once you start getting pinholes in your copper, most times your copper will just keep chasing leaks. So it's best to replace it and insulate it properly, and then we know that we're good for another number of years.
Are you convinced that this belongs to state of emergency? I'm looking at this and I understand what you've written and the way you've explained it is great. Does this not belong to 2025 capital?
This is not affecting our process,
That's right.
but it is, again, the wastewater plant falling apart due to its age. This is just another repair
Right.
that has to be done. And right now, the water is leaking into the crawl space under the Bagger building. It had, when we discovered it, all of the pipes in that crawl space were encompassed in ice.
Right.
It has rescinded a little bit. It's starting to evaporate, so you can see the pipes a little bit more. But as far as the state of repair for the wastewater treatment plant, I would suggest that it is part of your emergency.
Because I think we're going to have, with the age of both of our plants, the water plant and the sewer plant, we're going to have problems moving forward every year. I don't think, I'm beginning to, so now my question with the wastewater treatment plant is, you're going to have repairs. 6 months from now, you're going to have repairs. But I think it's more important to decide what is state of emergency. Because this to me doesn't look like it was state of emergency. This looks like it was your plant's falling apart. So that's just my question. Why state of emergency, not just 2025 capital?
I believe we went into a state of emergency because we were constantly chasing repairs and everything was coming to a head all at once. So everything that had to do with the plant not operating properly.
Correctly, right.
It put us in a state of emergency, and this just one more thing that has failed down there, which goes hand in hand with what we've been doing, just massive repairs down there, trying to bring it back up to a state of good processing, good state of repair. And this does affect, if the water does end up freezing any of those air lines or other pipes that are underneath that, in that pipe gallery, it's going to affect our process immensely. So
Okay.
it's important that we get it fixed, and it's not something that we can do without a contractor.
Okay, so this could affect process, but right now it's not. Because here's my concern to our director of operations. We need to close the state of emergency up. We need to find, Mayor and Council needs to make some decisions about how we're going to cover the expense of it. We have to close this down at some point. And to me, once all the repairs are done that affect process, pull us out of state of emergency, we can start looking at this. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, thanks, Doug.
As far as our automation now goes, we were inspected. The ESA inspector was on site and has identified very minor things, mostly labeling of wires and such. So we are looking really good at wrapping up the ESA upgrade. Bagging has been working very well, touch wood, with the new chemical pumps and the explosion-proof components that were added to the bagging system. They have it working. All 6 ports right now are operating really well, and they have been successfully lowering the sludge blanket in both clarifiers.
So you want to see it around 2 feet, 2 to 4?
Ideally 1 to 2 feet. 3 feet you better start bagging. Right now, the last time I was down there, that was yesterday, we're at 4 feet in clarifier 2 and 1 foot in clarifier, sorry, backwards. In clarifier 2, we're at 1 foot. Clarifier 1, we're at 4.
That's good. That's good news.
Yeah. The renovations that we, for the senior center, we did go back to the contractor to change the scope of work to bring it more in line with our budget. And you'll see a report later on that. We'll have to talk a little bit more on that when we get to that report. The grader, the wheel seal was gone inside the trunnion. However, when they were working on it, they found that a bolt was missing out of the fender bracket. So once we replaced the bolt, that stopped the oil from spraying on the wheels. So that was a nice save by our crew, discovering that. So the new bolt has cured what we thought to be a seal gone. The municipal complex, we have had Dykstra back to make modifications to the roof coming into the main entrance. When they made that repair, they had to cut that roof back a little further so that they could access the cut in the actual roof. But when they did that, now the water is not draining onto the roof at all.
No.
So Dykstra was here and they have a good solution up there right now. They say it's temporary until they come back to finish that particular job, but quite honestly, I'm pretty happy with the way they have it looking and the way it's performing.
Are they coming back to fix this section over here before the spring?
Yep, they have just been waiting for the weather, and I anticipate them being here in the very near future to complete that work.
Great.
There's still quite a lot of snow up there, but with the warmer temperatures, we should be able to access pretty quick.
Okay. Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go on to number 7, automate directive operations report automation now, the damper assemblies.
If you recall, we talked about this, I think it was probably informally at an earlier council meeting. When in September of 24, when they went to install the actuators on the damper assemblies, all of the fins were rusted in place and the actuators were not able to operate the dampers as they're supposed to operate. So we did talk about it at that time, but I never got a resolution. So we just got the invoice for that. So we're coming back to council for a resolution on that invoice.
Okay. I think the reason we didn't pass the resolution, we weren't sure of the amount at the time, from what I remember my notes in September. So I think problematic with, it's not problematic, but the ESA is not like the state of emergency. It's actually governed by bylaw. So we had amended the agreement using bylaw 5-2024.
Right.
And in that amendment, we defined that their damper actuators were going to be replaced, but not the dampers weren't in here. And now we had an amount, hold on here, I gotta highlight it too. Here, section 5.1 fixed fee for services, we had amounts outlined there. We're changing these amounts. So given that we're changing the amounts, I think what we need to do is have council pass a resolution to amend the bylaw and then get the CAO at the next meeting to bring the amendment through, because you can't resolute the bylaw change. It has to be done through bylaw. So does that make sense?
It does.
So will we do that for the valves that we're also replacing in the sludge basement? Because that was passed by resolution in January. January 25th, we got a resolution number for the valves in the sludge basement.
Was that ESA or was that state of emergency?
It's the actuators that are on those valves that when they put the actuator on, the valves were seized. So, and that was, I think, $3,000 that we approved in January 25th.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you have contingency built into the ESA project?
There was a small contingency. Yes.
But not, see, because the problem with these dampers is, while they're not material, because they're not over 25% of the cost, they're still considerable, right? And so the whole amount of the project has to be changed. $3,000, I'll tell you what, since we're on it anyways now, because it's only because I started looking at this, I would suggest that we pass a resolution to amend the bylaw and then have the CAO investigate whether that $3,000 needs to be If it's part of this bylaw that we move with this contract, then it needs to be added. But then you could do both at once
At once, okay.
instead of doing them separately.
Mhm.
And then, so finally then, automation now should soon be winding up, right, Tam?
Yes.
Okay. So you might, I wouldn't make two separate amendments. I would make one if you need to. But she might have contingency money that it doesn't financially affect the contract that we approved under bylaw.
You'll give me that info tomorrow?
Sure. 5-2024. It's not, it's saying we're gonna, but it's the way we do it.
Mhm.
Can't just pass it by resolution.
Yeah, we'll get that for next meeting.
Yeah.
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 Before you gotta go paid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8, you want,
Yep, so that is on the senior center renovation. So the scope of work was changed and a new quote was given to us, but it's still over budget by about $30,000. So when we went back to we shaved a little bit more off the scope of work and went back to the contractor and he said, okay, I'm done. I have no more interest in this project. So at this point, we have to modify the drawings to reflect the scope of work change. And then we have to republish the RFP and basically start from scratch. This time, I would suggest that we not do it by invitation. We should make it more public and hopefully draw in more contractors, more competition on this. My concern with this is JML Engineering has quoted us $29,000 for the work that they were doing. So doing the drawings, tendering, and then project management. With us going back now to modify the drawings, this is the second time we're going to modify the drawings and then reissue the RFP. I suspect that I'll be seeing an increase in their cost, which is going to further cut into my renovation money. So I would like to suggest that once we get the updated drawings, because I need the drawings for contractors to bid on. There's a lot of information in the drawings so that they know what they're doing. I would like to suggest that I issue the next RFP and become project management so that we can save that money and put it towards the actual renovation.
Tammy, have we looked at any local contractors that could perform that work?
Well, the JML issued the RFP to 5 contractors by invitation. They were all Thunder Bay contractors. So if I issue the next RFP, I would make it public. So I've had good success with the Thunder Bay Construction Association website. We can also send it by invitation to our local contractors to make sure that they see it. And then hopefully we can get a better cost on the reno and we get more bids so that we have a more competitive atmosphere.
But we do have local contractors that are
I think
can
we
do
do,
that.
yeah.
Yes, we do.
I think we do.
Yeah, so you would think that would be a huge savings.
I happen to agree with her. I think that might be the way to go.
Yeah.
In the sense, and I'm cognizant of the workload that we have with our Director of Operations already. With the sense that I agree with you, Tam, but I don't want to give you the responsibility of having to go over there and oversee construction workers. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think you have the time for it. But I like your plan for it. I do. The only other thing I would say is keep in contact with the Economic Development Officer. Because after last meeting, with that report we had gone over in that one category because of the quotes, he wasn't aware and he was making phone calls to OTF to make sure that we could vary some of that because he didn't have approval for that. So, but just keep him in the loop so he knows where that money is going. But I like the plan. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
if she gets close, let's say she can get close, she gets within, I don't know, $5,000 or $6,000. Do you think the Senior Active Living Center would be willing to do some fundraising or use some barbecue money for that if she can get close?
Well, I hate to speak for them, but, I mean,
Something to
it's a possibility. It's a
Possibility.
yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. Can you not just use the original drawing and make the changes, like note the changes on it yourself? Because all the measurement, nothing would change. You're just gonna, I would highlight, for example, we're not gonna take this wall out. So don't, and make notes.
I probably could, but what I do need then is the full size drawings, and those are not usually issued until after the project. And they give you the as-bills. But you've seen the small
Yes.
drawings and the very tiny print.
Yeah.
To make the changes on that particular drawing, I don't have access to CAD, so I can't change the print, the writing. And it's very difficult to see, so I'd be very leery about missing something, because it's a huge project that we're undertaking here. So it's a possibility. It depends on how much access JML is willing to give us.
Okay.
But we have paid them for the work they did,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for the drawings.
yes.
Okay.
We'll get they won't be as-built, but we could possibly get the drawings as they stand today.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, right?
Yeah.
And then us just make notation.
Yeah.
For the RFP.
No, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
That could save even more money.
Yeah.
I don't want you to have, like, with everything else you've got on the go, like, I'm just worried about you. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't
Yeah.
hear me every time. I'm concerned about your workload.
And
Because
I'm
you're
concerned
jammed.
about it too. I'm just really concerned about not putting the money where it was intended to go.
Right. I gotcha. I hear you. Okay.
Okay, Director of Operations on the Heritage Days, 2025 Heritage Days.
So I'm not sure that I'm giving you any more information than what you had the last time we seen this report.
We've never seen this report, Tim.
Oh, sorry, thank you.
You're welcome.
So originally the committee had planned to have this band host an event at the pavilion, and there was not going to be any admission charged because it was an outdoor event. The committee hasn't really decided yet how it's going to unfold. I did, through the committee's direction, reach out to the Flames Ball Tournament event, and they have indicated that they want to host a karaoke night at the restaurant Friday night. And he would prefer us hold our event on the Saturday night. And then if we do that and hold it at the hall, there at least is now a possibility of us charging an admission to that. But we haven't run that by the committee yet. But because as far as the plan goes, I've given you a very high level plan. We haven't dug deep into any of those events yet to see how they're going to look. And the budget is very, very high level as well. So there's not really a whole lot of revenue in your proposed budget, but
No.
until the committee can sit down and actually dig deeper into the plans. The problem is that Throwback is a band that was successfully attended at the Terrace Bay event last year. That's why the committee would like to have them come to our event for Heritage Days. However, it is a time-sensitive matter, and we've already pushed them off by a month, but they're willing to hold that date until we can get some kind of approval. Not sure if council's comfortable approving an expense like this. It's $2,800 for the band, and then there'll be 2 rooms with 2 beds in each room. So I would anticipate probably around $500 for the hotel.
I have no problem booking them now, knowing that we now know what's going to be happening. We have a reunion, we have a full-age baseball tournament going on. So yeah, it should be a success. Where I'm having an issue thinking about it, and it might not even be an issue, is where to have it. Where to have it. If we have it up at the hall, I understand what you're saying, but after the day that we usually have downtown, Saturday, I believe is what you're talking, it'd be great to have it at the pavilion.
It would be. Yeah, it would be.
But I think that there are ways you could host that at the pavilion
Oh, no,
and still take admission.
and that's where.
I really do. I agree.
That's where I'm having my thoughts with, how would you do an admission to cover some of the costs? Would you do
You could run it.
donation? Just the initial things that pop. But
Since
I
it's,
don't know what everybody else thinks, but I'm okay with, now that I know.
since it's part of the beer tent, like the pavilion, right? Just charge admission to the beer tent.
Well, and that's the thing, right? So you'll have, but better than that, Rhonda, there's been a couple of times where we've actually made that pavilion bigger using that, what do they call that orange fence bench?
Yeah, snow
So
fence.
fence.
Where we've actually been able to, the boys will put up, like weights.
Yeah.
And wrap them around and make that area bigger and enhance it.
Yeah, we had it right to the end of the dollar store one year, I believe.
And you could do that
Yeah,
and then still make access to it like by 2 entrances and charge admission.
yeah, for sure.
You could very easily do that.
That
The
would be-
fact- Like, the fact that it's time sensitive, if this is a time sensitive thing and it's either book them or lose them, you've got a committee, Benji, maybe you can speak to this, that's working at these plans and you know more now?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we'll talk more tomorrow night, but there's some, I don't wanna say conflicts, but some ideas between the group that's organizing the reunion, whether or not they wanna have a dance. We don't wanna be fighting with, you know what I mean?
Right.
For attendance or take away one from the other, so.
Yeah,
But yeah, we'll have to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that.
Definitely have the conversation, but as far as the booking
Yeah,
the band and all that,
Go
we're,
ahead, if that's what we decide, it would be wonderful. Sure. To be able to take that to them.
yeah. and-
I'm good with that.
Somewhere along the lines, maybe the committee will figure it out.
Yeah,
The
I
charge.
think they will.
Yeah, for sure.
Or
I'm
whatever.
just trying to run some numbers quick there. Should Google. And the sponsors and stuff on the budget, that's a projected number, like. those are
Yes.
secured yet?
Yeah, invitation letters have not gone out to the sponsors yet at all. That's just what was collected last
Right.
year.
Just to give just to kind of give you something to look at.
Yeah,
I'm sure with the volunteers that we have on the committee now, we can better that by quite a bit.
Okay,
Great.
fair.
Fair enough.
I'm willing to approve the booking.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Good town?
Yes, thanks for the
perfect.
information.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good meeting tomorrow night. Anybody else got anything on the? Okay, that's the next one. Never mind.
huh?
Number 10, Recreation and Festivals Committee meeting minutes.
Okay, so at the last Recreation Committee meeting, it was brought to our attention that the last meeting prior, was November 27th and 24th. Those minutes were never, approved by the committee or forwarded to council. So we included them tonight, along with last meeting, that was held on February 26th. Both of these will go to the committee tomorrow evening for their approval.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't feel like we have to approve them, but I
No.
definitely agree with you, Rhonda, that committee has to approve them.
Yeah.
But can I just say, it is very nice seeing minutes and just no different than seeing minutes from economic development or seniors. Just to kind of, as mayor and council, you kind of get a flavor of what's going on at a meeting. Yeah,
you definitely.
yeah, I think thank you very much.
I think last meeting was a good reset.
Yeah.
And I can see us really starting to gain some traction going forward. As long as we can keep the communication open between, our group here and the committee, it's gonna be good.
Meetings will be consistent as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's huge.
yeah, it is.
I think that's good, and month we get. Okay, number 11, in Schreiber Public Library Board meeting minutes. Right, Dave, you're off. Hearing nothing.
You're constantly busy, that group as well.
We're very busy.
It's nice to get minutes, you see what they're doing.
Yeah.
They get a lot on the go.
Yeah. Number 12 then, Aqua reports, Schreiber water, wastewater report, and operations report, January 2025 final.
So this is the monthly report that we see from Aqua. This one is for January, and there was nothing that jumped out at me
Yeah.
in this report. You're gonna start seeing some sludge data being entered here, so that 5.25 for January, I'm excited to see that increased number for February.
Okay, no questions on that one. We'll go to number 13 then, the 2024 annual and summer reports for the.
So it is a regulation requirement to have an annual report and to have it published. So it has to come to council here first. So this one is for the water treatment plant. We should be seeing the wastewater come soon, but this one is specifically on the water plant. We had them on page 4 of 12. I did send it back to them and ask them to add that we added the smart meter for the chlorinating post filter. And it was installed in September 24, so he added that whole paragraph for me. Other than that, there's no other issues that jumped out at me.
Did we put the other reports down that were printed, did we put them on our website? The ones we approved?
Which other?
They were some kind of annual, what's it?
Oh,
last
you're
meeting?
talking about the ECA,
Yeah,
CLI ECA.
yeah,
And yes, they were
They were
given to our website person
Person,
to get up there.
and so
And
this
this
one
one will as well.
will be the same, okay. Excellent.
Okay,
How are we doing for chemicals? Has that been all
So-
sorted out for the costs and like I know we had a spike in chemical expenses last year. Is
We
it-
did. So if you go back to your previous report, your monthly report, you'll see that we hadn't spent money last year on the polyalum silicate, and that is the chemical that we use in the bagging process. So because the plant was down for much of the year last year, we didn't have that expense. So we met our very close to our budget this year, but we're going to do a little increase to the 2025 budget because now that our plant is operating properly again, we will probably see that 18,000 for that particular chemical probably one more time.
Were you thinking about the additional chlorine because we were dosing twice? Is that what your concern was?
Overall costs.
Overall cost.
Overall costs were high.
Mhm.
That spiked up.
Yeah,
We meet our budget, but the budget that Aqua
Yeah.
has is not realistic.
no, right.
Yeah.
Okay, hearing nothing else. Communications.
DSAB January 16th meeting is mostly elections and renewing bylaws for the current operating year. There wasn't anything too exciting.
Anything on the levies? Did they approve the levies?
Yes, they approved the levies.
Anything that affects us on that or?
I sent emails off to both CAOs in January that stated this is exactly what your levy is going to be for the Township of Schreiber and Terrace Bay. They outlined them both and exactly so that they could plan with their 2025 budgeting. The minute it was approved in public, I sent them off to both CAOs.
Or what did it look like?
I think
Percentage?
we averaged in at about 4.2.
4.2?
Yeah, yeah. We started off quite a bit higher, but we brought it back down with 1.2. They're able to do that. But the actual dollar figures were set to both CAOs so they could start planning their 2025 budgets.
I see there was some discussion on landlord and tenants, like trying to expedite some of the cases that are
Yeah.
outstanding, so.
Non-stop, the North of Superior, like the association that works in hand with us, they've undertaken going back to the government to say for social assistance housing that the 18-month lag in landlord tenant cases needs to be speeded up because of the nature of the beast, right? That we needed action quicker than maybe an average landlord, but that they needed to start addressing some of these model houses and model apartment buildings because if you have to wait 18 months, right, the damage could be a lot more significant.
And people are out on the street.
Yeah, so, and we don't want that. So NASTA undertook that, and they actually went to, what name, Aroma, with it, and went to the minister in regards to that, to say this needs to be handled.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do we want to support number 4?
More interested me in a little bit.
sure.
Northern Highway Safety Plan?
There was some discussion on that
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
our conference too last,
Yeah, for sure.
so.
A municipal league, yeah?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All good then?
Oh, really?
Okay.
Okay, no unfinished business, no other business, so we gonna have to, we'll get one item to work on and close, so resolution 78 -25. Moved by Councillor Bryson, seconded by Councillor Bergeron, that the closed meeting resume at this time. All those in favor? Carried.